And suddenly it's Thursday.
Are there Skittles in the bottom of this? I keep forgetting that Skittles are now $40 a pack, so we can't afford them in the bottom of the Lucky Dip.
I know, I can barely afford a Skittle, my friend. Alrighty, but I have got some pre-selected movie titles. Suddenly turned into like a
movie titties.
stutter. All right. There we go. Do you want to dive in and fish out a movie title? Because that's what we do. It's Glenn and Ben here from the Good Movie Monday podcast. Lucky Dip means we just lucky dip film titles out of a tin and we talk about them if we can.
Because too many spitballs damage too many DVDs.
Yes. The good old spitball days. It was a thing. You're going to have to go right back through the archives to find those.
One of those, yeah.
What are you doing? You're cheating again.
I didn't like that one.
You're not allowed to do that.
That's
the whole point of this.
Ocean's 8.
Ugh, maybe you should have skipped that one. My 8 looks pretty... Doesn't even look like an 8, does it? It's not bad.
It's Ocean's 8, that's the women one.
It is, and they've just announced there is a new Ocean's 14 coming.
Why wouldn't they do Ocean's 9?
The women didn't work out, apparently.
Oh. So it was all talk.
So, Ocean's 8, look, it was not a bad movie. It was entertaining. I think it was unnecessary, and once again, it felt a bit contrived. Like, just it's like we have to do this because suddenly, remember there was a period in Hollywood like a couple of years ago where let's gender reverse everything.
Yeah,
didn't really.
That's the extent of the cleverness.
But it didn't really pay off because they're not really doing that anymore.
The problem I had with Ocean's 8 is that Widows is a much better film.
Oh, Widows was fantastic. See, you don't need to gender reverse a franchise. Go for a whole movie that stands alone.
Yeah, I mean that's a remake of a British TV series, but yeah,
but was the British TV series the different gender? Like,
no.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like,
yeah, it was just a female-driven crime pick that had moments of humor in it.
Yeah,
but they could have added a bit more. But it could have been, like I guess it's the difference between Ocean's 11 and Ocean's 11. Like the original Ocean's 11 is like a serious film, whereas Ocean's 11 is a wink.
I found it's peculiar. I like the Steven Soderbergh Ocean's 11. I did find it very amusing, but at the same time, it had a grittiness to it that the sequels didn't have.
I thought it started out that way until they got to Vegas.
It's true.
And they brought in Scott Kahn and Casey
the little Asian guy in the fucking trolley. That's when it all got a bit silly.
Yeah, it's just...
but look, Ocean's 8, I neither like nor dislike it. It is passable. It's a great cast, but I find the squeezing Elliot Gould in there felt a bit tokenistic as well.
And was it Sandra Bullock is
Danny Ocean's sister,
which are unnecessary.
Never mentioned before.
That family, the only family of con men
that
can exist in this universe.
Just silly.
I mean, look, I just found my problem with it is, and it we were talking about this the other day in regards to Avatar and how Avatar was a movie that made so much money at the box office and yet had zero cultural impact.
Yeah.
And I feel like Ocean's 8 is another one that I enjoyed it while I was watching it, but the minute the credits roll, I forgot everything that happened in the film. And I have a major thing for Sandra Bullock.
And you feel like they were trying to have a cultural impact.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's go. So we did a show on Monday about controversial films, and I feel like if we keep having that conversation about Ocean's 8, we might have landed in some controversial territory. So what do we got now? Something safe. The Great Escape. We could talk about The Great Escape 2 if you'd like. That's now on one of the streaming platforms.
No, I don't care about that.
I do.
The Great Escape is fantastic.
Great Escape
Far
is
superior.
It is. Oh, of course it is. It's a wonderful film. Far out. Well, Donald Pleasance is in both of them, so there's that. That's the connecting factor.
Which is amazing considering that he dies in the first one. But hey, never let death get in the way.
I mean,
cash-in
I
sequel.
talk about number 2 sequels all the time, but the whole gist of The Great Escape 2 is that it's the same story from a different perspective. You know how the escapees go one way and then you got the others that go another? This is the other guys.
The guys that end up getting gunned down.
Pretty much.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of them is Dr. Bombay from Bewitched.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Anyway, The Great Escape's fantastic, iconic. Do you remember when they made those commercials on Australian television with Steve McQueen on the bike?
No.
What was that for? It was like BP or something like that. It was a petrol station commercial. And there was controversy at the time because they digitally augmented his face like a deep fake.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
To make him look like
because it was the same controversy of when Tales from the Crypt did the Bogart episode. And everyone's like, well, Bogart's not around to give his consent to being, his likeness being used. And that was the same thing with Steve McQueen.
Which means he's not alive anymore to give a shit.
More like his family want a little piece of that.
No, and the good thing about the funny thing about The Great Escape is that's where Charles Bronson met his future wife, who was at the time married to David McCallum. And when he met her, he told David McCallum that one day I'm going to marry her. Then didn't see her for however many years. She got divorced from David McCallum, and then they met up again, and
she made a great escape.
They were married until her death, and she died of breast cancer.
Like Charles Bronson in The Great Escape. He's digging tunnels.
Digging tunnels.
Yeah. All right.
He was grooming her, as to use the parlance of our times. Oh, is my turn again?
Yeah. We'll do one more each.
Oh, it's The Great Escape 2. How did this get done? How did this get in here?
I'm loving it.
Parenthood.
Parenthood. Fantastic.
I've never seen it.
This one's right up your alley, I reckon.
I mean, look, I'm a big favour of any movie that features a kid trying to turn on the light and turning on the vibrator instead.
No, it's Steve Martin.
It's Steve Martin. You're right.
Hey, I found a flashlight. And then classic, back in the 80s when Steve Martin made comedies, particularly his early ones, he had like he spazzed out a lot. Like he did like a lot of he'd flip out and he'd be a bit stupid like The Jerk and things like that. That moment with the vibrator when he turns the light on, he's holding it. He has one of those moments where you're just like, that's the Steve Martin of old. Just a glimmer. But great movie, directed by Ron Howard, and it's got Keanu Reeves is in there, Martha Plimpton, Rick Moranis. Who else we got in there? It's a great cast. Oh, Joaquin Phoenix plays the troubled son of Diane Wiest,
the owner of the vibrator.
Yes, I watched it maybe 3 months ago, fairly recently.
Right. Completely
amazed at how well it holds up because there's now on British television. There's like a British version of it. And
there was a TV series. They did a spin-off TV series.
That wasn't really comedy. That was like a dramatic take on it.
Really?
It was a bit more, it was a bit more like House Husbands type of genre. Whereas Parenthood is completely funny. Like it is an actual comedy. And, if you've ever had kids in your life, whether they be yours or, nieces, nephews, you will appreciate this. Like, it's got the famous scene where they're driving in the car and the son's singing the Diarrhea song on repeat. And, it goes on and on in the movie, just as it does in real life. And it's so frustrating, yet funny. You got the kid with the farty, everything that kids do that is annoying is in this movie.
Right.
And it's funny. And Rick Moranis plays the guy that thinks his daughter's the smartest person in the world. And, he sort of forbids her from actual childhood pleasures.
Right.
Just to educate her. Funny as. I'm glad you picked that one out. I want to watch it again. I think it's like top 5 Ron Howard films.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that's how good it is.
That's how good it is.
Great poster. They emulated that with Problem Child.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, I remember that.
It was like when Hand That Rocks the Cradle came out, they made the movie Mikey or Mikey, and they replicated the poster art for that.
Mikey the Child Agent movie with Michael J. Fox? What's
no? I know the one. The one Brian Boswell, the kid from Family Ties. He was a psycho kid. Had John Dahl as the father. It was like The Godson. Anyway, Mikey, fantastic movie. Same poster as Hand That Rocks the Cradle. What I'm getting at is that
Andy
Problem Child was the same poster as Parenthood.
Yeah.
Anyway, was not worth all that. Just to say. All right. I'll see you next week, Ben.
Okay, I thought you were going to pick one.
Okay, one more. I'll see you in a minute.
Because I picked out Parenthood, so it's your turn.
Okay, well then, running out of timing probably. The Duff. It's right there.
It's right over there.
We're looking at it.
I love that movie.
It is a good movie. This is how would you describe it? Is it like it's not modern anymore because it's about 10 years old, but it's like the modern version of Clueless, maybe?
Yeah, it's like Mean Girls with no Mean Girls.
Mean Girls, yeah. It's about a girl that's bullied.
Well, no, she's not bullied, but she finds out that she's the ugly friend.
Yes, the Duff.
The Duff.
Designated ugly fat friend?
Yeah.
Is that what it is?
Or something like that, yeah. Her friends do not think of her that way.
Yeah. But
only the kind of the male lead, who doesn't really think of her that way either. He's just saying that's who you are in the friend group, and that every friend group has one.
He's her best friend.
He's her best friend,
yeah. And he just lays that truth bomb on her, thinking everyone knows it. Like everyone's got a Duff in their life.
Yeah.
And you're my Duff.
Yeah.
But she had the hots for him, and so she's offended by it and tries to hot herself up.
Well, I don't know if she doesn't have the hots for him. She just doesn't believe that she's the Duff, or doesn't want to be the Duff. So she kind of ditches her friends, and there's a quid pro quo with Stephen Amell that he's gonna help her not be the Duff anymore, and I can't remember what he gets out of it.
Yes,
but they're not. I don't even know if they're still friends. It's like that. I can't remember the other movie, but they were friends when they were kids, and as they got into high school, they like Drive Me Crazy kind of thing, where they kind of split apart. They move in different social circles.
This needs a revisit.
It definitely does. It's a great one. It
needs a revisit. It's it also stars future OnlyFans star Bella Swan.
Yeah, right.
Before she launched onto, and she made like
Bella Swan.
She made like, was it $2 million in one day on OnlyFans?
Yeah, but it's not Bella Swan.
Who is it? Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
Pretty sure it is.
It's that's not her name. It's not Bella Heathcote. It's
do it before the camera clocks out.
Bella Thorne.
Bella Thorne. Don't go looking up Bella Swan. I apologise to Bella Swan if you're going to OnlyFans page, or maybe you can thank me, Bella.
If you don't have one, you should start one.
That's right.
Bella Thorne. Yeah, that's right. She's the actual bitch in it, but she's not friends. Like they're not. She actually takes it out on her actual friends who do not see her that way.
You know what? I think the actual Duff in the Duff is hot as.
Yeah, well, that's the ironic thing. Like she's one of the 7 X's in Scott Pilgrim and stuff. And you're like, come on, man.
Yeah, get a real Duff.
Get someone. Yeah, get a. Yeah. Oh, I didn't mean. You said get some ugly people. Yeah, I meant TV ugly.
Am I
not ugly?
Am I your Duff?
I think I'm everyone's Duff.
Oh, you silly Duff.
I'm Melbourne's Duff.
Now I'll see you next week, Ben.
Yes.
See you later.
See you next week.